prioritize, unite, and deliver a progressive agenda. It requires vision, competence, and character, the qualities that define enduring leadership anywhere in the world. Unfortunately, the Nigerian leadership landscape has over the years suffered from the deficit of these essential virtues. Political power has often been treated as an end rather than a means, as personal conquest rather than public trust. Equally important is the institutional environment in which leadership operates. Even the most well-intentioned leaders cannot succeed in a culture that normalizes impunity, mediocrity, and apathy. Therefore, the challenge before us is not only to raise good leaders, but also to build a society that demands and supports good leadership. The need to prepare individuals to be informed, responsible, and active participants in a democratic society is important for our young democracy. As it will strengthen our democracy by equipping citizens with the knowledge and skill to understand civic logic, exercise their rights, respect diverse perspectives, and work for social justice. In addition, it will foster empathy and a sense of belonging, which are vital for maintaining a functioning community and are essential for addressing local and global challenges. Citizen education. This brings us to the imperative of citizen education. But without an enlightened and active citizenry, effective leadership cannot be sustained. The quality of leadership a nation gets is often a reflection of the consciousness of its people. As the saying goes, the people who do not know their rights will always be ruled by those who do not respect their rights. Hence, while leadership sets the direction, citizens determine the destination. The more informed, active, and responsible the citizens are, the more accountable and effective leadership becomes. The role and imperative of citizen education. Citizen education is the foundation upon which effective leadership is built. After all, leaders emerge out of the people. Education empowers individuals with the knowledge, skills, and values necessary to participate actively in the democratic process, demand accountability, and make informed decisions. To sustain a legacy of effective leadership, we must first cultivate enlightened followership. Citizen education is the cornerstone upon which any sustainable growth of a nation is built. Citizen education is not merely about literacy or classroom learning. It is about cultivating civic awareness to participate meaningfully in governance and develop a sense of national identity, ethics, and social responsibility. Democracy thrives not only on good leaders, but on informed and active citizens. Where citizens are passive, uninformed, or indifferent, leadership easily degenerates into despondency, abuse of power, authoritarianism, and lack of accountability. Therefore, democracy should be measured by both the quality of the leaders and also the consciousness of its people. Citizen education helps individuals understand their rights and duties, appreciate diversity, and respect the rule of law. It promotes critical thinking, civil values, and community spirit. A well-informed citizenry will refrain from selling their votes, will demand good governance, and insist on transparency and performance. A scenario where to win an election, all you need is to get gala, bottle of coke, and maybe 5,000. That is not a well-informed citizenry. Civic education, which will teach young Nigerians about the Constitution, the duties of citizens, and the meaning of public service, has been neglected. In many schools, history is no longer taught, with seriousness leaving generation of students without an understanding of the struggles and sacrifices that built the nation. Without a sense of history and civic duty, it becomes difficult to appreciate leaders like Alhaji Lamadeshino, who gave their life to public service and democratic ideas. Let me give you an example. When I was governor, on every June 12, we will go around and do what we call democracy work. So, on a particular occasion of that democracy work, students, there were many, they followed us, we did everything. So when we got back to the stadium, I asked them, who is Chief Moshood Kayode, Abiola MKO, Abiola? They looked at me, one of them raised his hand. He said, the owner of the stadium. I said, is that all you know about Moshood Abiola? He said, yes, it's Moshood Abiola Stadium and he's the owner of the stadium. I went further and said, you know who Awolowo is? He was just looking at me. He said, the one that owned university, Obafemi Awolowo University. So that tells you the level of which we have degenerated to, because we do not now teach our younger ones history and citizen education. Education must therefore be reimagined. It must go beyond literacy and numeracy. It must teach values, responsibility and integrity. It must help young people understand that citizenship is active, not passive. The quality of our future leaders will always reflect the quality of the education we give to our citizens. We must therefore integrate civic education more deeply into our educational curriculum, from primary school through tertiary institution. Beyond formal education, civic reorientation should be pursued through community engagement, media platforms, and social mobilization. Religious institutions, traditional rulers, and civil society groups all have a role to play in shaping civic responsibility. It is also important to note that citizen education builds leadership from below. Every great leader first learn to be a responsible citizen. One who respects law, values integrity, and seeks the common good. The Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, to be an effective leader, one must first learn to be a good follower. They educate our people to think critically, act ethically, and participate constructively. We are in fact building the foundation for effective leadership at every level of society. In other words, in the words of Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which can be used to change the world. Indeed, no nation rises above the quality of its citizen. Enlightened citizens produce enlightened leaders. Ignorant citizens perpetuate corrupt leaders. There are many reasons why citizen education is vital to leadership in strengthening democracy. The first is to strengthen democracy through the provision of necessary skills for active participation in government and community life. For Nigeria, this is vital in the era of increasing polarization and distrust in institutions. An informed electorate is less likely to be swayed by ethnic or religious sentiment and more likely to vote based on issues, performance, and integrity. Educated citizens participate actively in election, policy making, and public discourse. The second is to foster responsible citizens through the cultivation of a sense of civic identity by teaching about rights, responsibility, and the structures of a democratic society. Education equips citizens with knowledge of their rights and responsibilities. The third is to promote social justice. This goes beyond simple compliance to encourage individuals to question which causes of social problems and advocate for systemic change. A population that understands governance structures and public finance is better positioned to hold leaders accountable. Through civic education, citizens learn to demand transparency, scrutinize budgets, monitor projects, and resist impunity. Citizens must be taught that there must be one law for individuals, how to distinguish the fact from fiction, understand complex issues, and participate in informed discussions. Education, particularly civic, moral and value-based education helps instill values such as honesty, discipline, and patriotism. If you fell foul of anything, the world come together and discipline you. So to enter guidance falls under all of what we have been saying. I remember growing up, when my mom, when we are doing something, it works like this, just a week like this, we fall in line. But these days, if we do that with our younger ones, they ask me what is wrong with your eye, because they don't get it. Finally, it is to prepare for the future. Through its equipment of learners with foundational and critical thinking skills necessary to navigate and contribute to a rapidly changing world. Misinformation is a major threat to democracy. Educated citizens are better able to critically evaluate information, question propaganda, and resist manipulation by opportunistic politicians. institution and poor succession planning continue to weaken public trust. Many leaders rise to power without preparation or a clear vision for service. The culture of impunity discourages accountability and makes honesty look like weakness. In education, the challenges are equally troubling. Schools in many parts of the country still lack classrooms, learning materials, and trained teachers. Strikes and poor funding disrupt learning and lower standards. Our young people see graduate struggle without jobs and lose faith in the value of education. When leadership is unaccountable and education is undervalued, hope declines and system becomes disengaged. The two crises feed each other. Poor leadership fails to invest in quality education, and weak education produces citizens who tolerate poor leadership. This cycle must be broken if Nigeria is to move forward. That is why the connection between leadership and education, which Alhaji Lamadisino likes to symbolize, is so important to discuss today. What are the strategies for enhancing citizen education in Nigeria? We may now ask ourselves, what are the strategies for enhancing citizen education in Nigeria? First, there is need to reform our education curriculum. The Nigerian education curriculum must prioritize civic education, critical thinking, history, ethics, and leadership. Youth to understand the country's past, its political structure, and their role in shaping the future. To use citizen education to address the issue of leadership in Nigeria, there is need to look at the curriculum we have in schools, even for our children in the elementary school. To be honest with ourselves, some of our curricula are not fit for purpose. I recall that during my own time in primary school, we were taught civics, which exposed us to the rudiment of governance right from early stages. We were taught about what we should expect from our leaders and what we are expected to give in return. We may not appreciate it, but these are the rudiments of social contract and the foundation of democratic governance. When we were young, all the tiers of government, act of government, all of that we know, and we call to question anytime we know that, oh, this one is not working well, and we will call our elders and ask them. There must be need for non-formal and adult education. There's urgent need for non-formal and adult education as millions of Nigeria are outside the formal education system. Government and civil society must invest in grassroots education. Community workshops, town hall meetings, and radio programs to reach wider demographics. Apart from strengthening democracy, non-formal adult education in Nigeria are crucial for empowering individuals, addressing inequality and unemployment, and building national capacity through skills acquisition and lifelong learning. This type of education includes life skills, personal development, and economic prospects, particularly for vulnerable groups like women, and can lead to a more skilled and prosperous workforce. All this also informally strengthens our democracy. Out-of-school children. Also to be considered here is the concern of out-of-school children. As we all know, Nigeria has a high number of out-of-school children, with figures ranging from 10.5 million to 2.3 million, representing a significant portion of the world's total. Indeed, Nigeria has 1 in 5 of every out-of-school child globally. Key factors contributing to this crisis include poverty, conflict-related insecurity, and school closures, and cultural and economic barriers that often prioritize boys' education and place higher burdens on girls and girls' education. Urban-rural disparity also exists, with much higher proportion of out-of-school children in rural areas. This takes us to digital literacy. We must consider digital literacy and media engagement. The use of digital media platforms for social change in Nigeria has grown significantly over the past decade, driven by increased internet penetration, smartphone usage, and the proliferation of social networking sites. Digital media has become a powerful tool for advocacy, civil engagement, activism, and social mobilization, enabling individuals and organizations to amplify their voices, raise awareness, and push for societal transformation. Social media platforms such as X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp have been instrumental in driving social change in Nigeria. Twitter in particular has been at the forefront of digital activism, with hashtags such as hashtag NSAS, hashtag bring back our girls, and say no to rape, gaining global traction. The NSAS movement, which began as an online campaign against police brutality, evolved into nationwide protest that pressured the government to disband the special anti-robbery squad SARS. This demonstrates how digital platforms can serve as catalysts for on-fly action, mobilizing large population and influencing policy decisions. With the rise of social media, it is important to promote digital literacy. Citizens must learn to navigate the digital space responsibly, identify credible sources, and engage constructively online. Digital literacy and media engagement are crucial for governance in Nigeria because they promote transparency, accountability, and citizen participation, while also empowering citizens to organize and hold leaders responsible. However, their effectiveness is challenged by issues like a lack of digital infrastructure, insufficient digital literacy skills, and the spread of misinformation necessitating government investment in both digital literacy programs and its infrastructure. Let me just digress a bit and say that the internet and all these social media platforms can be what we want it to be. It can be a weapon of mass development, and at the same time, it can be a weapon of mass maybe disruption, disinformation, and whatever we want it to be. Just look at what happened during the NSAS. Those our younger ones, all these Gen Zs, millennials, and all that, what have you, they even have maybe what Gen Alpha now and what have you. The way they organize themselves is incredible, and they did it so well that, in fact, they put all of us on our toes, and they were hard, loud, and clear, and that is why it's so important. These days, I know so many of our elders are here. When we were campaigning, not even in the time of Alaki Labadeshino, when we campaign a particular local government today, by the time you go to the other one the following day, they will not even know. You'll be telling them, we were in so local government yesterday. But these days, it's not like that. Leaders are put on notice. Leaders are put on the spot at every minute. What we are doing now, they are watching it in America, they are watching it in anywhere in the world. Clearly, what does that tell us? It tells us that if maybe as we are here now, we are campaigning now, the people maybe we are actually in local government now. Before we finish there, all that we said, they are posting it in the Wajoba, they are posting it in Olo, they are posting it in Shaki, they are posting it everywhere. So there is no hiding place these days because of this internet access, because of all of this social media. But it's not all gloom. All these are our younger ones. If they are well harnessed, of course they are helping Nigeria. Indeed, the image they are giving to us is even positive image, is even far, far more than what even if the government has said, okay, let's even find some people to be loving our image positively. Just recently, I'm aware that maybe just last week or so, Davido was here. Look at what is happening in our entertainment industry. Look at what is happening in our creative industry. You will see that even just this week, what is his name? Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido, and I think one other. They were nominated for Grammy Awards. Who else can do that to us? The other day, I saw the German football team, women. They were dancing to our music. What other advertisement do we need? So, if we harness our younger ones, and we do well with this, our social media handle and all of that, of course, it can help us. Integrity screening by anti-graft agencies. Integrity screening by anti-graft agencies must be reinforced. Anti-corruption institutions such as the EFCC and ICPC should be empowered to thoroughly investigate the financial and ethical records of all individuals aspiring to public office. Their findings should be made public before election. This will help citizens make informed choices and prevent those with questioning integrity from gaining access to power. Consequential sanction for corrupt leaders. Any leader convicted of corruption or abuse of office should be banned for life, alongside any convicted family members and associates from contesting or holding any public office. Leadership is a sacred trust, and corruption is the greatest betrayal. This policy will serve as a deterrent and also help restore credibility and accountability to public office. Law and order will continue to break down if nobody is held accountable or if there are consequences for bad behavior. There must be level playing field in leadership improvement within political parties. And I'm happy that our national secretary is here. Political parties must ensure a level playing field in the leadership improvement process. They must be compelled to entrench internal democracy, prioritizing merit, character, and competence in candidate selection. No candidate should emerge merely on account of wealth, influence, or the recommendation of political godfathers. Party platforms should become schools of leadership, not vehicles of patronage or personal ambition. Only when parties of fairness and transparency can larger political system produce credible and effective leaders. But let me say this without being biased, that APC, yes, we are not there, but I think we are far better than so many of the other political parties that are in Nigeria in the area of creating level playing field. Implication of culture in governance. Implication of culture in governance. Finally, we need to look very critically at the aspect of our culture. To be honest with ourselves, there are aspects of our culture that we need to do away with. If our democracy is to develop across Africa, the absence of the culture of asking simple and legitimate questions about how we are being governed has contributed significantly to the culture of bad governance across the country. The culture that marginalizes segments of the society, especially women and children, is not only banal and devoid of logical thinking, but actually wrong and potentially very harmful. It is antithetical to development. Once one is in office, we will see our people say, you are there for a reason. God doesn't make mistakes. And you are expected. And once you are in office, of course, you have to go and undo. Those cultures, they should be there. Review the academic qualification for political office holder. There's an urgent need to review the minimum educational qualification required vice presidents, governors, deputy governors, and other elected office holders in Nigeria. The National Assembly should consider revisiting the relevant section of the 1999 Constitution, particularly section 131B, which stipulates that a candidate for the presidency and other positions must be elevated up to at least the school certificate level or its equivalent. Let me say this is without prejudice to the fact that I know there are many intelligent, hardworking, dedicated, honest people that are not that educated. They have what I call native intelligence and all of that. But where we find ourselves now, where the world is going, I think we need a bit of formal education, particularly for some offices. This provision, though historically understandable, no longer aligns with the complex demands of governance in the 21st century. I therefore propose legislation mandating that no person without at least a bachelor degree or higher national diploma HND should be eligible to contest for elective office for Federal House of Representatives, Senate, Governor, Deputy Governor, President, and Vice President of Nigeria. Fún àwọn tí local government ti wá àwa ara wa ni tá a bá jẹ tá a bá tẹ̀ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ níbi tí mo sọ yẹn, all the other ones maybe for local government we make because local government they are those that deals with the grassroots. Maybe we can allow them to still continue with school certificate holders. But anybody that's being sent to the National Assembly, to the governor, to the deputy governor, to the president or vice president, I think they should be graduates. This provision, as I've said, that leadership in today's world requires intellectual depth, analytical ability, and a sound understanding of governance dynamics. Public offices should not be a refuge for the unprepared. It should be a platform for the competent, for men and women who are educated and possess both the knowledge and the moral clarity to steer our nation through its challenges. Effective leadership is not the sole responsibility of those elected to office. It is a collective enterprise involving every Nigerian. To sustain a legacy of good governance, the country must prioritize citizen education as a national strategy. An educated populace is not easily divided, nor easily divided. It becomes the bedrock upon which a capital visionary and effective leadership is built and sustained. Only when citizens understand their power and purpose can Nigeria fully rise to meet its potential. Enough of words. We need things. Enough of abstraction. We need concrete action. Enough of speaking about sterile commitment to a big order, which nobody understands. We must talk about genuine transformation, which everybody understands. Ladies and gentlemen, unless we are committed to establishing a new transparent social order, the result will be disaster. We cannot be doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result. How can we sustain the legacy of Alhaji Adesina? What must be done? As we honor Alhaji Adesina today, we must remind ourselves that sustaining his legacy, and indeed the legacy of effective leadership in Nigeria, requires a multifaceted commitment, effective leadership, and enlightened citizenship. Our leaders must renew their covenant with the people anchored on honesty, service, and accountability. But the people must also be awakening to their civic responsibility to ask questions, demand good governance, and participate constructively in national development. Sustaining a legacy of effective leadership requires creating systems and institutions that outreach individuals, such as what we are doing today, institutions that reward merit, punish corruption, and encourage transparency. It also means nurturing a new political culture where serving state citizens over personal gain, and where integrity is celebrated above wealth. Ní àwọn ayé ìjọ́un, téèyàn bá mú nǹkan wálé, àwọn bàbá wa, àwọn ìyá wa wá ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ wípé nítorí rí ipò ló ti rí, and that is what we call honest political wealth. O kò lè dé ìjọba gbé mọ́tò kankan gàgàrà délé, wọ́n á bí ẹbí wá ipò ló ti rí ipò bí wáyé, kò rán ọmọọṣẹ́ tó ṣe. Irú yẹn sì kò sí mọ́ o, àfi kí á padà sí ẹsẹ̀ àárọ̀. First, education must be reformed to teach civic values and leadership skills from the earliest stages. The classroom should not only prepare students for examination, but it should also prepare them for citizenship. Subjects such as civic education, ethics, and history should return to their rightful place in the curriculum. Students must learn about the rightful place in the curriculum. Students must learn about the Constitution, the duties of citizens, and the meaning of justice and equality. This is the surest way to raise citizens who can demand and defend good governance. Ẹ̀yin ìyá wa àti bàbá wa, nígbà tá a wà kékeré, civic education ẹ̀kọ́ tó bá kọ́ wa tá a fi máa mọ̀ pé báyìí la ṣe ń ṣe, báyìí la ṣe gbọ́dọ̀ ṣùwà kù. Tá a bá dé ibi tó wọ́n tán fi wá sípò, báyìí ni ká ṣe ṣe. Wọ́n á kọ́ wa, ìwé wọn á kọ́ wa, ìwé ojoojúmọ́ tá a bá jí láàárọ̀, wọ́n á kọ́ wa, tá a bá délé ìwé, wọ́n á kọ́ wa. Ẹ̀rí wípé àwọn bàbá wa nípa tí ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀kọ́, wọ́n á tá a bá ti wọ́n máa kọ́ wa dáadáa wípé wọ́n sì máa kọ́ pé iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ iṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣiṣẹ́ á máa jalè, ìwé kíkọ́ láì sí ọkọ́ àti àdá kò ì gbé o, kò ì gbé o. Wọ́n á tún sọ fún wa pé bàtà ní àkókò kó ká, bàtà rẹ̀ àkókò kó ká bí o bá kàwé rẹ̀. Kò sínú yẹn mọ́ sí yẹn o, àwọn ọmọ tá a ní sí yìí máa wà lórí fóònù mi látàárọ̀ pápápápá. So àfi ká padà sí ẹsẹ̀ àárọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀. A ní sọ pé ìtẹ̀ náà la máa rí o, ìwúlò àwọn amóhùnmáwòrán tó wà sí ìwúlò àwọn tẹlifóònù wa tá à ń lò ó wà. Àkànní jẹ́ kó wá gba àṣà àti wọ́n ṣe tọ́ wa àti wọ́n ṣe bí wa ní. Ìfúngbà táwa ń dàgbà, wọ́n ń kọ́ wa lédè wa láṣà wa káàkiri. Àwọn ọmọ tó ti ń kọ́ wa nínú kíláàsì wa, ìmí tí wọ́n máa bá wa sọ di tí ò ní máa dààmú wa, máa simplify ẹ̀ fún wa. Tẹ́ ẹ bá wo ọjọ́ tó wà nínú oṣooṣù, ó máa ń dààmú fún wa gan ni tó bá fẹ́ rántí pé kí ni mọ́ǹtì eléyìí kan ló parí sí. Màá kàn rántí orin tó ń kọ́ wa ni pé ọgbọ̀njọ́ ni Sẹ̀tẹ́mbà September, April, June, November, àwọn yòókù ló lè kàn, àfi February wo. Gbogbo tó wá gbà yẹn kó sí mọ́. Àti gbogbo ẹ̀dànù òun ló wá jẹ́ pé ká bára wa níbi tí kò yẹ kí á bára wa. Àmọ́ ṣá ó bà ní o, kò bàjẹ́. Tá a bá fẹ́ kó dàbí ìgbà tí àwọn bàbá wa Alhaji LAM ADESINA, àfi kí gbogbo wa ká má sọ pé ìtọ́ ṣe léèwé nìkan ẹ̀yin náà bá wò ní wá ṣe ń kọ́ wa wọ́n ṣe ń ṣe fún wa. Mo rántí pé Alhaji LAM ADESINA bí mo ṣe tó pé tí mo rò pátálágbà ní mí ìtọ́ bá máa bá mi sọ̀rọ̀ wá tẹ́ tó bẹ̀yẹn. Yes sir, bó ṣe rí ìyẹn mélòó ló lè ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ sí i. So second, we must invest in teachers as the most important agents of leadership development. Teachers are the leaders of classroom, and the example shapes how children understand authority and morality. Government should train and motivate teachers to become role models. A teacher who upholds truth and fairness in schools helps to plant the seed of integrity in the next generation. Third, mentorship must become part of our social structure. Many young Nigerians have energy and creativity but lack guidance. Older leaders in every field should take it as a duty to mentor the young ones. Alhaji LAM ADESINA was known for mentoring younger politicians, many of whom later became prominent figures. In every leader today takes one or two young Nigerians under mentorship. We will have more citizens who understand service and responsibility. Above all, sustaining the legacy of effective leadership calls for a collective effort to rebuild trust between government and the governed. Leadership is a shared responsibility. Leaders lead best when followers are conscious, courageous, and constructive. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us remember that Alhaji LAM ADESINA did not only lead, he taught, he inspired, and he cultivated people who in turn became leaders. That is the good test of his legacy. To sustain the legacy of effective leadership in Nigeria, we must build citizens who are not merely subjects of government, but active shareholders in governance. Only then can we nurture leaders who will embody competence, character, and compassion. Leaders who will serve rather than rule, unite rather than divide, and build rather than destroy. If we educate our citizens, we will elevate our nation. If we raise the civic consciousness of our people, we will renew the soul of Nigeria. That indeed is the surest way to sustain the legacy of effective leadership. In conclusion, as we come to the close of this lecture, I wish to leave us with a simple reflection. Leadership is not limited to those who hold public office. It begins with the individual. Every citizen has a part to play in shaping the moral tone of our society. The culture of waiting for government or blaming others must give way to personal responsibility and collective action. Alhaji LAM ADESINA life teaches us that leadership is service. He lived simple, spoke the truth, and valued education as a path to freedom. To sustain his legacy, we must see leadership as an act of sacrifice and not a means of privilege. When citizens act with integrity in their daily work, they strengthen the very foundation of which we governance rests. Our schools must prepare children not just to earn a living, but to live meaningfully and contribute to the common good. Our universities must train minds that question curiosity and create solutions. Our families must teach honesty and empathy. Our religious and traditional leaders must preach and practice moral discipline. When all these levels work together, the nation will naturally produce leaders who reflect the character of the people. The journey to effective leadership is long, but it begins with one step: the decision to do right, however small the opportunity. When a teacher teaches well, when a civil servant performs his duty faithfully, when a student studies diligently, when a leader keeps his promise, we all pay back and build Nigeria. Let us therefore leave this up with a new purpose. Let us sustain the legacy of Alhaji LAM ADESINA, not only by remembering his name, but by continuing his work, the work of building an educated, just, and responsible society. Let every citizen become a leader in conscience and in action. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa, atótónu tí kò ń ṣe látàárọ̀, ó dá lórí wípé ẹni tí a bá ti gbé sípò pé olórí tó ń já darí pé ó gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe dáadáa ni. Ẹni tó bá fi ṣe olórí ayé òtí rẹ̀ jẹ́ àti bàbá wa rí ẹ̀ tó dá gbogbo wa rí ó ti lè wù ká lọ tó kábọ̀ tó nǹkan tó máa gbẹ̀yìn náà làwa ṣe bí ikú náà ló máa gbẹ̀yìn nítorí kálukú tá a bá wá ṣe òun náà máa wá rántí wa tá a máa sọ pé nígbà ayé ẹni báyìí o nígbà àgbà báyìí o báyìí lọ́ ṣe ṣe o nǹkan méjì ni nǹkan tá a wá ṣe dálé lórí ó dá lórí wípé ẹni tá a fi ṣe lórí ó tún wá dá lórí wípé bá a ṣe máa gbé ètò ẹ̀kọ́ tá a máa fi fún gbogbo mùtúmùwà tá a máa gbélé wọn lọ́wọ́ tó máa fi jẹ́ wípé àwọn tó bá ṣe lórí náà tá a bá mú lórí lẹ̀ táwọn tó ń ṣe lórí lé lórí tán bá mọ ọ̀tún wọn sósì tán ti ẹ̀mọ̀ pé ẹ̀tọ́ wá rèé báyìí ló ṣe yẹ ká ṣe ẹ̀rí wípé irú àwọn olórí bẹ́ẹ̀ wọn ò ní ṣe dáadáa o olórí tó máa ní ṣe dáadáa ó máa jẹ́ pé gbogbo àwọn tó ń ṣe lórí lé lórí tó bá sọ pé báyìí tó bá rí pé wá sọ pé aláàjì báyìí láro àwọn tó jẹ́ pé ẹmẹ̀wà tó gbọ́n àwọn tí tó pé à ń ṣèjọba lórí tó mọ ẹ̀tọ́ wọn ni àwọn sáàtì ní yóò ṣe ń dáṣe o àwa gbọ́dọ̀ sọ pé gbogbo ìjọba ní rárá o gbogbo wa là ní nǹkan táwa náà máa ṣe tá a bá ń sọ pé ìjọba gbogbo wa lórí ara wa náà ìjọba ni wá o ìjọba àpapọ̀ ẹ̀rí nǹkan tó wọ́n ṣe wọ́n wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ìjọba ti state tìpínlẹ̀ ó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ìjọba ti àwọn local government tó jẹ́ tiwantiwa ó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ gbogbo mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta yẹn wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ ni ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ máa lè sọ fún ẹ tó jẹ́ chairman ní wípé chairman báyìí kò lè ṣe ní o ẹni tó jẹ́ gọ́fúnà àtún lè sọ pé gọ́fúnà wa báyìí kò lè ṣe ní o tó bá ti ṣe dáadáa àádú wọn lọ́gbọ̀ ẹnu tó bá lè ṣe dáadáa ní ìgbèkò tó ìṣẹ̀lá tó máa sọ wípé àbíká ṣe dáadáa irú olórí tí bàbá Alhaji Lam Adesina jẹ́ òun la ṣe wá bí ìdé yìí àwọn olórí tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n á sọ pé do as I do kò kì í ṣe pé do as I say wípé bí mo bá ṣe ń ṣe o òun ní kẹ́yìn náà ṣe o kò ń ṣe wípé kọ́ máa wá sọ lẹ́nu pé báyìí ní ká ṣe ṣe o káwọn má ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n wá máa sọ pé kí àwọn tó ń ṣèjọba lórí pé kọ́ máa ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ gbogbo bá a ṣe gbọ́dọ̀ tọ́ra wa kájọ ọmọ tó gbọ́rọ̀ sóbì lẹ́nu kájẹ́ aráàlú tó gbọ́rọ̀ síjọba lẹ́nu tó ń ṣàdúrà fúnjọba tó bá ti rí ẹ̀kí àtò káwa náà fàdúrà sí káwa náà ṣe tira wa káfi tiwa kún táà bá fi kún táàkùn ìgbé àwọn lídà ìlú àwọn lídà ìkọ́ ẹ̀ẹ́rí wípé ìdàgbàsókè kò ní tètè bá wa ní agbára Olúwa ìdàgbàsókè ló máa bá wa á bá wa ní gbogbo ilé Ọ̀yọ́ tá a wà yìí á bá wa ní gbogbo Nàìjíríà ní agbára Olúwa àwa náà à ṣe tiwa o táwa bá ti ṣe tiwa àwọn tó dó lórí wa à lè bí wọn lẹ́jọ́ pé àwa ti ṣe tiwa gbogbo lẹ́yìn ṣe ti wípé o ẹjọ́ mo mọ̀ pé àwa káàárọ̀ òjìire àyọ̀tọ̀ la wà díẹ̀ o ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ báwọn bàbá wa ṣe ń ṣe o ẹ má jẹ́ ká sọ pé tá a bá ti fẹ́ dìbò wípé àdúgbò ń mú wákà tó dúró ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣèjọba dáadáa ṣé ẹ níjọba tá a bá ṣe lára òtù wa ìjọba tí ò dáa ni ṣé ẹjọ́ náà ẹ jẹ́ ká fún ìjọba láyè kí wọ́n ṣe tiwọn bó ṣe yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe tá a bá fún wọn láyè tá a sọ̀pọ̀ tiwọn tá a gbárùkù tiwọn wọn ò ní lè ṣe dáadáa so káwa ṣe tiwa kéèkì ṣe tèmi kẹ́yìn ṣe tẹ̀yìn òun ló máa gbé gbogbo ẹ̀ ló máa gbé ga o so ní ìrántí bàbá wa Alhaji Lam Adesina òun la ṣe ń sọ gbogbo eléyìí ẹni tó ṣe dáadáa ni tó jẹ́ wípé nígbà tó wà lọ́yọ́ state gbogbo bọ́lá ṣe fún wọn lágbára tó òun náà fi ṣe Olúwa náà á túbọ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ fún wọn Olúwa á fún wọn ní àjọ́nà fìdáùs gbogbo àwọn màmá wa tán fi sílẹ̀ àti gbogbo àwọn ọmọ tán fi sílẹ̀ Olúwa túbọ̀ máa lọ rẹ̀ ní wọn ní agbára Olúwa wọ́n ti ṣe ìkọsílẹ̀ institution náà kírètì yìí bàbá ti lọ bàbá sí ìkú títí láéláéláé mo gbàdúrà pé níjọ́ kan àwa náà àti lọ wọ́n á máa sọ pé wọ́n ń ṣe 50th annual lecture àádọ́ta ọdún ti lecture tá a wá ṣe léde tó jẹ́ ti kejì bó ṣe máa rí nìyẹn lágbára Olúwa o. So finally, if we hold on to truth, if we teach our children integrity, and if we make education the true engine of citizenship, then we will not only sustain Alhaji Lam Adesina's legacy, we will give Nigeria the future it deserves. I thank you all for listening. God bless all of you.
I'm inspired to do something strange this afternoon. On account of the question of delivery, I would like to water the topic of the lecture. It reads here, sustaining a legacy of effective leadership in Nigeria. I want to add, in Nigeria and beyond. A round of applause to His Excellency, Senator IBIKUNLE AMOSU, for that wonderful lecture which he has just delivered. May your hymn never run dry. Thank you very much. Senator AMOSU never disappoints. You will agree with me that he has, with this beautiful delivery, justified his rating as a quintessential leader and an asset to our generation. Indeed, Nigeria is blessed. Again, a round of applause for our distinguished senator. God bless you, sir. I will now take our seat, please. Let's be seated. Due to want of time, we are going straight to the next business, which has to do with the delivery of goodwill messages. Permit me to announce to us that we have in our midst a representative of the Honorable Minister of Power. The Minister of Power is unavoidably absent due to official engagement. I'm talking about no other person but Oloye Adebayo Adebola Adelabu Benkelebesi. He has sent Honorable Rashid Oladekan Afuye to represent this here this afternoon. So at the appropriate time, we will invite him to the podium to deliver his own goodwill message. Now, it is not about he would like to give us his own goodwill address because he has to leave immediately. Okay, you're welcome, sir. It's a place we have with you.
In the name of Almighty God, the merciful, the guest lecturer of today, and my leader, His Excellency Senator IBIKUNLE AMOSU.